we get to visit with GOP political strategist Matt Mackowiak. Matt, good morning. How are you?
Morning, Chad. I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing great. Thanks for coming on the show today. Let's start with the GOP healthcare plan that I think one was rolled out in not a good way. There's been a lot of back and forth, a lot of Republicans who aren't happy, a lot of conservatives who aren't happy, but you have the House leadership and the White House that is trying to do the best they can to sell voters and to sell lawmakers on this plan. What do you think happens this week going forward on the GOP replacement bill?
Yeah, there's two more committees that it has to go through. It has to go through the Budget Committee and then the Rules Committee, which is the last step. And the Rules Committee is run by Dallas Republican Pete Sessions. And that's where there may be some amendments to the bill that are offered to try to change it, to make it more conservative. You know, the threat that's there, Chad, as you know, is that if you add things that are not related to the budget, that don't have budgetary consequences, it could basically violate reconciliation, which is the procedural maneuver House Republicans are using to make it a straight majority vote. And that's really what they're trying to do. This is not the beginning and the end of the Obamacare replacement. They're repealing what they can under reconciliation. They're replacing what they can under reconciliation. That's phase one. Phase two is the HHS secretary pulling back a lot of the regulations that were in the bill that gave the previous HHS secretary the power to sort of execute Obamacare how at that time Kathleen Sebelius saw fit. And then phase three is a 60-vote threshold in the Senate, and that is when you will see a 50-state marketplace with insurance available across state lines, small business health plans, portability, a lot of the things that a lot of us have wanted for a long time. So those pieces are in phase three, but it's understandable why so many people are angry right now, because there's this is not what this bill does not reflect what Republicans have wanted all along. It reflects part of it, and it reflects things that they're not going to like, and that's just the reality.
Okay, let's talk about phase three and then reconciliation altogether. If it wasn't a budgetary item, they couldn't do this through reconciliation, correct? Which means that they would have to have a 60-vote threshold in the Senate.
That's right. Yeah, and this is all subject to the ruling of the parliamentarian, and that's a little bit of guesswork as well. But the parliamentarian will have to decide if the reconciliation bill meets the requirements, or whether it triggers a 60-vote threshold in the Senate. So it'll be up to the Senate parliamentarian to do that. Now, one of the things some of the conservatives are saying is, well, maybe they should just do that anyway, and sort of have a vote to. My understanding is that the minority, the Democrats, would have to vote to overrule the parliamentarian. So look, there's a lot of scenarios here. You could have a scenario where they violate reconciliation. The parliamentarian says they. I don't know. There's so many scenarios here. I don't even want to go through them.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, this is part of why. I mean, this is such a tough thing for the House leadership, as they put a bill together very carefully, and it's not one that really can have a lot of changes made to it without it fundamentally changing and threatening the political circumstances that are necessary to pass it, at least in this first phase.
I know you got to get going, so let me ask you real quick. Do you think Republicans and conservatives, do you think they get on the same page and get something done?
I do. I just think the political risk to President Trump if this thing fails is pretty significant. So my guess is they do find a way through this, but it is going to be a wild 2 or 3 weeks to see where it goes from here until the April recess in the House. This thing has to either pass or get pulled down in the next 2 weeks, I think. There's a lot that's going to happen.
Cool. Matt, real quick, tell folks where they can get your newsletter.
Absolutely. MustReadTexas.com. We put all the top news from around the state in one place, emailed to you every morning, Monday through Friday. We also have the podcast, Mac on Politics, which you can find in the iTunes store and at MacOnPolitics.com.
All right, Matt, appreciate your time this morning.
Thanks.
Have a good one. That's Matt Mackowiak. When we come back, we will get into the health care bill, the latest, get your thoughts as well. People dying in the streets. No matter what, people will be dying in the streets. Chad Hasty Show, KFYO.